Man, if you're ever curious as to what Joan didn't means, I'm gonna explain this to you real quick before I get started. I just recorded 20 minutes, only I didn't record it. That Joan didn't. 20 minutes of my life, gone like a maniac. Anyway, I wanted to do my top 7 ranking. I wanted to rank the top 7 biographies slash studies on Arthur Rimbaud in the English speaking world, all right, that I'm aware of. And I'm always looking. So if you know something else, and I hope this bitch is on. Here, it's on. If you know of other works that I failed to mention here, let me know. Actually, I already remembered one. There's one called Wallace Folly, Rimbaud, and Jim Morrison, Rebel as Poet. I didn't include it in this list just because I never read it, so I couldn't tell you. But anyway, number 7, this comes in dead last. This is The Time of the Assassins by Henry Miller. Now, I really wanted to like this book. I was primed to like this book. I was like in my mid-20s. And even at that age, when I read it, I felt dismayed and embarrassed and kind of let down. I had never read Henry Miller, but I found that he had a very kind of like, he brought to bear a very immature mind on Arthur Rimbaud. And it just felt very adolescent and juvenile. And like, as I kept reading it, it just felt like we're no longer talking about Arthur Rimbaud here. We're talking about Henry Miller. And all this might be forgiven in a writer who's in their late teens, early 20s. Homeboy was like in his mid 50s, writing like he's, a 16-year-old. And I just felt embarrassed. And I read it, I finished it. Nothing great. Definitely not. I don't recommend it. Maybe if you're younger, cool, but pretty much ensured that I would never pick up Henry Miller again, and I never have. And I know he's got a huge fan base. That's cool. Everyone has their own junks. It's cool. Number 7, that was dead last. Why are you even in the race? Number 6, Rimbaud, The Double Life of a Rebel, Edmund White, who I'm pretty sure passed away a couple years ago. This was easy to read, very general, very accessible. If you're somebody who wants to learn more about Rimbaud, this is a great introduction. Edmund White was gay, and from what I remember, he reads Rimbaud. Well, this is written through the lens of Rimbaud's homosexuality and relationship with Verlaine, which is fine. Nothing crazy, easy. You could read it in 1 or 2 hours, gracefully written, and not bogged down by details. You're not going to be coming across constant footnotes and yeah, so easy breezy, no problem there. Number 5, Rimbaud in Abyssinia by Alain Bourrère, who is a French poet and literary critic. This was originally written in French. This is a translation. It's a decent translation from what I remember. This is also another one that I was like, oh, did I read this? And I went through and remembered my notes, and I see it here. I did. It's very poetic. It's dense. It's not so much investigative or factual. It just feels like more of a, like he's trying to celebrate and penetrate the mystery of Rimbaud rather than uncover the actual human being Rimbaud, which is fine. Kudos to him, because as far as I know, this is the first book published in English that really focuses on Rimbaud post-writing career, post 1875. Because as I had mentioned in my first video, he went on to live another 16 years, and we really don't talk about that. So that's my number 5. Number 4, Arthur Rimbaud, Presence of an Enigma by Jean-Luc Steinmetz. Now, I've read this book several times, and this is also written by a French critic, maybe even a poet. Don't quote me on that. Originally published in French, and this is a translation. But unlike the one the one preceding this one, this was a terrible translation. It's painful to the ear. It's stiff, it's awkward, it's wonky, which is a shame because it's filled with great scholarship. It's intelligent, you know. You can tell he cares about Rimbaud, and but the translation, you know, if you're anything like me, it's hard to get past that rough translation. So it's still coming in at number 4. I recommend it. If you can read French, maybe find it in French and read it in its natural language. Um, yeah. Number 3, Somebody Else by Charles Nicholl. Arthur Rimbaud in Africa, 1880 to 91. Again, this kudos to this guy for writing a book about Arthur Rimbaud post writing career. And he does a great job. This reads like a travel writer's diary or something. He's retracing the steps of Arthur Rimbaud. Actually, I think literally he goes to every place Rimbaud actually lived at, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I read this a couple years ago. I may be mistaken. Um, reads like an investigation. It's like full of facts. And like I mentioned, it just feels like he's trying to uncover, like penetrate the myth, but like uncover the man, right? I want to understand the man. What made him tick? What made him go? What made him Arthur Rimbaud? Number 3. Number 2. I still love this book. This is a classic. This was published in 1938. And this did a great deal to basically shape the way we look at Arthur Rimbaud in the English-speaking world. And that's Arthur Rimbaud by N.H. Starkey. She also wrote a biography on Baudelaire. Her prose is elegant. It's vivid, vivacious, energetic. It's infectious, right? It's well-paced. It's just a great book. It's a great biography, largely because the subject matter itself lends itself to great storytelling. You know, Rimbaud was a beast at that. No surprise here that it helped inspire guys like Jim Morrison. I think Bob Dylan too read it when they were younger and set them on fire. So N.H. Starkey, Arthur Rimbaud, still a great read. At times it may feel a little dated to the modern ear, but you know, if you're like me, a Latinite by heart, you love it. So number 2. At number 1, Rob Rimbaud. This is still the best biography in the English-speaking world, hands down. It was published in 2000, so that was almost 26 years ago, which is nuts. And if you know of any other biographies that have been published since that time in English, let me know. I'm always looking and I don't find them. Anyway, Rob does a fantastic job of pacing it like a novel. It's full of scholarship, but it's not bogged down by the scholarship. It's just well researched. His prose is awesome, crystal clear, witty, sharp, and he treats Rimbaud seriously. You know, he allows him, I think at the outset of the book, he mentions, like, I'm going to attempt to allow Rimbaud to grow up, which a lot of authors don't, unfortunately. And he does a bang-up job of doing that. You really feel when you put this book down that you've spent time with the man himself. Not just the legend, not the, seer, but like Rimbaud at the end, just the human being, Rimbaud. And Graham Rob's biography does a great job. There are pictures, I'm pretty sure, that I had never encountered. Real quick, when this book first came out, I came across it at a bookstore, Books A Million, at Fair Oaks Mall in Virginia on my break from work. And I was like, whoa, I got to go home with that. And then I looked at the price and I was like, whoa, I'm not going to go home with that. Long story short, I came home with it. And I went to the first page. I was super excited. And my heart sank because at that time, I must have been reading at a 7th, 8th grade level. And I remember reading that first paragraph and just being dumbfounded. I was like, wow, this is going to be hard. And it took me about 1.5 years to finish this book. And I read it diligently, but I needed my dictionary right beside me because I had to look up every other freaking word in the book. And I remember one day promising myself, like, and one day I'm going to reread this book and I'm going to have to look up none of those words. And I kept that promise. And now I use those words like in daily conversation. So anyway, number one, Graham Rimbaud was so well written that I looked him up and I ordered a book from some European publishing house. I couldn't even find it in the States in the early 2000s. Turns out he had written a book on Stéphane Mallarmé, the symbolist poet, and I finally, long story short, I got that book. I brought it home. I'm super excited. Fucking half the thing's in French. So there you go. Anyway, they got to make this into an audiobook. Seriously. Stop faking. Do it. Those are my top 7. Again, I left out Wallace Foley's short study that he wrote at the end of his life about Rimbaud and Jim Morrison because I've never read it, so I can't talk about it. And Arthur Rimbaud's the best. Yeah.